First of all, um, I would like to start off with HTML, CSS today. Okay. Um, Sheetal, can you tell me in simple terms, how does internet work? Can you tell me answer that question, Sheetal or Selvanandini? Selvanandini, can you hear me?
Yeah, Vinod.
Yeah. Can you tell me how does internet work?
Mm, it's like from the router, we will connect to the internet and um,
Okay.
using LAN or Wi-Fi, we will able to connect.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to give a try?
The client server based connections which work with internet. We used to have a server
Mm-hmm.
uh, which provide the connections for the client machines, okay, which access through can get access through. We can connect to the World Wide Web over there.
Okay. Okay. Let me give you some brief overview here. So actually, we will have something called as a client. Okay, so client is nothing but a machine which is used by the user to access internet. Okay, this could be anything. It could be a mobile phone, it could be a desktop, it could be any browser or laptop or iPad or whatever it is. Okay, any
Okay.
system used by the user to connect to the internet is a client. Okay, next
Okay.
he would be sending a request to the server. Okay, request as in what is he looking for. So as soon as you open the system, you may open the browser and maybe clicking on facebook.com. Okay, and this
Okay.
facebook.com is now actually your request. You're requesting for this page. Okay,
Okay.
now
Okay.
that would reach someone called as the internet service provider. That would be nothing but any internet service provider you have subscribed for, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Now the internet service provider be verifying the address with the DNS. DNS is actually a domain name system where all your domains, domain as in facebook.com, google.com or anything, techart.com or any domain would be mapped to a single IP address. Okay,
Okay.
and this IP address would be unique for a given domain and would be unique to a given system. All right. So when you say facebook.com, you don't know where the facebook.com address is,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you don't know
Yes.
what is the IP address of the facebook.com machine, or you don't even care where the server is. It just works, right? So as
Yeah.
actually DNS is what is doing that job in the scene. So DNS will give back the IP address of
Okay.
your facebook.com. Now this IP
Okay.
address, based on this IP address, you would know the location where the system is present. Okay, it could be in Germany, it could be in India, it could be in US, it could be in Russia, anywhere.
Mm.
But it will have a unique IP address, and based on the IP address, you can track where the system is in the globe. All right, and your
Okay.
request would actually reach that server. Okay,
Mm. Okay.
now once the request is reached the server would respond back with a response. Okay,
Okay.
and that would come to the internet service provider. And now the
Mm.
internet service provider finally responds back to your user PC.
Okay.
So the response for facebook.com reaches you. All right.
Okay. Vinod.
Yeah. So in simple terms, this is how actually your whole system works, and all this is happening within fraction of a second. So today's internet is so fast that you don't even realize that all these things are happening behind the scene.
Yeah.
All right, clear
Yes,
everyone?
sir.
Vinod, can you give example of ISP and DNS?
Um, your Google FiberNet is your ISP, Internet Service Provider. Okay, who
So
asked
is
that
it like
question? Yeah, Ritik.
Comcast or AT like
Yeah,
that?
AT&T, Comcast, everyone, everyone. In India, if you talk about you, you have Airtel.
Okay, and what is DNS?
1 minute.
Vinod, we are not able to see your screen.
Yeah, I can see that. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Give me 1 minute. Yeah. Um,
Is
can you
DNS
see my
like an
screen?
application?
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, your desktop screen.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So, you understood the internet service provider, right? The person to whom you are actually paying the monthly bill, that is your internet service provider. Clear? Now,
Yeah.
DNS is a system which is maintained globally. Okay, and you have lots of DNS. Google does have a DNS, and you can think that DNS is like a global server maintaining the IP addresses. Okay,
Okay, so
if DNS,
is
yeah,
it like an
well,
application or is it like a uh,
you can tell it is a system. It is a
okay,
system which is responding. Okay, so the system job is nothing but to convert your URL into a IP address,
okay,
because you don't give the IP address, right? Let
yeah.
me tell you what I mean. Okay. Um,
Vinod, search engines are DNS.
no, search engine is not DNS. I'll
Okay.
tell you what. Okay. Do you see my terminal?
Yeah.
Now I say ping google.com. Ping is a command to actually ping into another system. Okay. When I say ping google.com, do you see the response?
Yes.
You see the response, right?
Yeah.
Now it is giving you IP address 172.217.163.174. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now if I ping 172.217.163.174. Okay, this is still the same. You agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So now the DNS role here is just to make sure every domain is having a IP address. Okay, so assume that tomorrow you would like to start off with a new um, domain. Okay, tomorrow maybe you want to buy www.vinod.com. Okay, when you want to buy that, you would be paying someone and purchasing your domain, right?
Yeah.
That person would actually be registering your domain on domain name system. Okay, what he would be doing is to whichever system you are making as a server, that would be having an IP address, and he would actually take that IP address and match it against your domain name. So anyone in the world, if they look for the domain name, they would get your IP address. Okay. So the whole
Okay.
point here is just that if I say, if you don't, from tomorrow onwards, if you are to access Facebook, you have to type in Facebook IP address. To access Google, if you have to type in Google IP address, then you'll go crazy, right? With so many numbers. But it becomes easier for you to remember the domain names. Am I right?
Yeah.
So this system is actually nothing but converting the domain name into IP address. All right.
Okay.
So, and I have also taught you how to check the IP address of a given domain. This is true for anything. You can even do a ping for anything, even facebook.com. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. Give me 1 minute. Sorry.
And names, like how do you give the statement and things.
So basically, you understood that domain name system is nothing but which converts your domain name into IP address, right? There is a mapping
Yes.
between every domain and IP address. So every domain in this
Mhm.
world will have IP address, and the system takes care of which domain maps to which IP address and all that. Okay, so that is a
Yes.
separate thing. Now, a simplest way of checking the domain name systems IP address, domain's IP address is your command prompt. You can just ping to the domain and that will give you the command prompt. This is one of the simplest way. Okay. Uh, so you can try any of the domain. Uh, it will give you the IP address this way. Okay. But remember, all this could be different for different locations. Like what the IP address I am getting may be different for what IP address you are getting. So that is a different story altogether, how they are handling it. It's something related to load management and all that. Let's not worry about that. All you need to know is what is DNS and how does it work. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what is actually meant by front end? Front end is actually nothing but whatever stuffs you see and interact is actually a front end. Okay. It could mean HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so what I mean here is in your say for example, if you're using your laptop, okay, and if you're using the browser to open facebook.com, whatever you see on your PC is your front end. Whatever you don't see is your back end. Okay. Um,
Okay.
give me a minute. Yeah, Naina, I've unmuted you. Ruchi, I've unmuted you as well. Please speak up if you have any questions.
Just getting confused. Like domain name and DNS is totally different, right?
What is the domain name? You tell me.
Google, I mean the address, whatever they give.
Yes, so that is the definite domain name system is nothing but a system which maintains for every domain. So what if I say 6th Cross 3rd Street number 465?
Mhm.
That's actually a physical address, right?
Yeah.
So our postal service maintains a directory where this particular address belongs to this particular location. They have a directory, right? The
Mm-hmm.
DNS is something like that. For every address, they have a IP address.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that is what
So,
the domain
so
is.
IP address is DNS, what you are saying, right?
The system is DNS.
Okay, okay,
The system which is maintaining it is DNS. IP
okay,
address is not DNS. Okay. The
okay,
system who is handling that is DNS.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Now, whatever you see on your PC is your client. Whatever you don't see is your server. For example, when you go to facebook.com, okay, you see a lot of page content on it, right? You see Facebook logo, you see a text box, images, many things, correct? So
Yeah.
whatever you see on your computer, that is your front end. And whatever you don't see, for example, when you say facebook.com, a lot of things happening behind the scene, right?
Yeah.
So you go to the Facebook server will respond with a lot of details, right? So those things are nothing but your backend. Okay, in this slide,
Okay.
I have shown you some of the technologies used for front end and back end. So the front end has to be always HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It cannot be anything other than that. Okay, the
Okay.
reason it is done like that is because uh, it has to be uh, these three common things. Otherwise, you would have a scenario where Windows can only run internet, Mac cannot run internet, or your Chrome can run internet, Firefox will run different version of internet. But that is not the case, right? Internet is just internet for everyone, and your client, it could be a Chrome browser, it could be a Firefox, it could be Internet Explorer, it could be anything. It still behaves the same. Even if you type firefox.com and I'm sorry, the facebook.com in Google, Chrome, or in Firefox, it will still give you a very similar. At least 99% of everything would be the same, right? If not
Yeah.
everything, it will still be the same, right? That is because the request you are sending gives you a response back, right? That is in terms of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You'll understand better when I give some examples. Okay.
Okay.
For now, just understand that HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the front-end languages, and everything else like some database, MySQL, MongoDB database, or Java backend server, or PHP Python server, or Linux server, or anything you hear about other than HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is usually the backend. Alright.
Okay.
So now you got an idea of what is a front end and what is a back end, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in case I just have a very simple example here. If you go to a restaurant and if you order for a food, right?
Mm.
That is a request from your end. Okay, and once you give the request to the waiter there, he would take your request, go to the kitchen. The request could be specific, like you want it to be spicy, you want it to be non-spicy, you want it to be such and such a thing, specific, or it could be in general. Okay, so that request would go into the kitchen. The chef there would prepare the dish. He would do a lot of addition, frying, lot of things he will do, but you would not even be aware of what is happening. And finally, when the dish is ready, he would bring that to your table, right? So he
Mm.
bringing back it to the table is your response, and whatever is happening inside the kitchen, that is your uh, uh,
Back end.
back and serve.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And the waiter who is doing the request and response handling, right? He is nothing but the internet service provider. Is this clear, everyone?
Yeah, Vinod. Like if we are giving some site name, we used to give like HTTPS, like that protocol and all will be coming to this one, is
Uh,
related to this one,
Forget about the
or is,
protocol. Protocol is nothing but a way of communication. Okay, how do you communicate? Like, do you use a mobile phone to call, or do you use the laptop to call? You can use anything, right?
yeah.
I never said that every technology works the same. I didn't mean that. All I meant was what is front end and what is back end.
Okay.
All right. So in that
Yeah.
context, yeah, let's not go into the protocol and other things. Internet is very vast. There's a lot of things happening behind the scene. I cannot explain the whole thing in a single slide. What you need to get from this is when someone refers to you as backend, you need to understand that. When someone refers to you as a front end, you need to understand what is it. All right. Anything
Yeah.
happening on the server is a backend. Anything happening on the computer which the user is using is a front end. Okay, so in real world scenario, there could be millions of users saying facebook.com. So all the million requests would reach the same server. Okay, and the response would be reached back to every individual client PC who is accessing it. Okay, now it could be
Okay.
a Facebook application on mobile, or it could be a facebook.com on Chrome, or it could be anything. They're all different clients requesting for your response from Facebook. Okay. Now, it being a single server or being a multiple server, those things are under load management and all those things. Let's not go there. But for now, just understand there is a server who is responding to you.
Okay.
Okay. So everything happening on that server is a backend. All right.
Yeah, Vinod.
Okay. Now, what is HTML? HTML is hypertext markup language. Okay, this is a very simple language where you tell what should be where. Like when you say facebook.com, you see Facebook logo, you see Facebook text, user ID, password, buttons, text boxes, you see a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
So HTML is just a static page where you just mention which should appear on the page, what should appear on the page. Okay.
Okay.
Give me a minute. Okay. Yeah, Shweta, I have unmuted you. All right. So you understood what is HTML. Now, CSS is nothing but um, your styling sheet. Okay. CSS is nothing but cascading styling sheet. The role of CSS is to uh, make the HTML page attractive. Attractive as in whatever you see. Once you see an example, you'll better understand. Okay, in the context of skeleton, I mean human body, right? I would say um, HTML is like a skeleton of human body, where without the skeleton your body would not have a shape. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So HTML is like that, but just the bare bone is not your body, right? You need skin, you need color tone, you need texture, all these things to make a human body, right? So that is the role of
Yeah.
CSS actually makes the HTML page colorful and all that. Okay, but just HTML and CSS will not make the whole thing work. So you need to just in a human body context, you need to have a life, right? So that when you speak to the human will respond back. Am I right?
Yeah.
So that is done by JavaScript. JavaScript is the interactive part of the web. Okay, so when I ask what is your name, you respond to that particular question. When I ask where are you from, you respond to that particular question, right? So
Yeah.
JavaScript is actually the interactive part. So it can do things like calculation of the mathematics, or it can do change of color on click of a button, or it can give you the latest weather, right?
Yeah.
It can load the latest tweets. So those things are done by JavaScript. And CSS actually does things like making I mean, giving a particular color to a text box, tweaking to a color to a label, increasing the size of a particular font, and such things. HTML would have things like what is present where. For example, where is the image, where is the button, and all such things. All right.
Yeah.
Any questions? When you see a working example, you will understand it much better. Okay, so let's hold on the questions till. All right. So you understood Okay. Now one final thing before we move on. Uh, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These three combined together form the front end of our web development. Okay, it's not actually a web development. I can say that these three together form our web response. So when someone is asking for facebook.com, you get all the responses, right? The response has to be in this particular format. It has to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript together.
Okay. This all three forms GUI. Is like that.
Yeah, it's like that. It forms the front end
Okay.
of front end for the given application.
Okay.
All right. So next is let's see some examples of how this works. Okay. Okay. Let's see a small intro on HTML. Okay.
Okay.
HTML is nothing but let's say okay. In HTML, we'll just read some syntaxes for us to understand how this particular HTML thing works. Okay, for that you need to remember a general rule. In HTML, everything would have something called as a tag name and some content in between. All right,
Okay.
this would be the generic thumb rule. We'll see some examples. So HTML will have this particular boilerplate thing. I'll tell you what is this boilerplate. Give me a minute. Before that, let me, yeah. So here, these are some of the tags. Before, I think let's create some HTML so it will be easy for you to understand. Give me a minute. So what I'll do, I'll just give me 1 minute. Line.
You're going to create it in Notepad and open
Yeah,
in browser. Yeah. Okay.
give me 1 minute. I'm just creating a file by name index.html. Okay,
Okay.
and that index.html, I'll just open it in a notepad. As simple as that. Okay, I'm not doing anything. So if I right click on the give me a minute. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen thing explorer. Okay, if I right click on this and open with Google Chrome, okay, the index.html opens, but you don't see anything in the browser. Correct? It's a plain white page.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Now, um, mm, now you go back to your notepad, and in the notepad you just type something like h1. Okay. Let me just give me a minute. Okay. I'll just say note h1. Uh, this is heading 1.
Close tag. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just save this. Now I'll just do a refresh here. Now you can see the heading is come here.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Now
Yes.
going back in, I'll just copy this line Give me a minute. I'll just make this h2 or maybe h3. Okay, save this, go here, refresh. So you can see this is heading 1 and this is heading 1. You see this here? Now
Yeah.
you have this is bigger in size and this is smaller in size. That is because in HTML there are certain syntaxes. Okay, so just like header 1 and header 2, there are many things. To create a button, you would use button. I'll say click me. Okay, and I will say the button. When I save this and if I refresh it, now you get a button as well. Let me show you. Yeah, you have a click me button. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the same lines, you can have things like input and
Input is for field box.
yeah. So
Okay.
when I refresh this, now you can see we have a text box here. Sorry, we have a text box
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
Okay. So to get anything in your browser, right, you need to have a HTML content there. So if you go to facebook.com, okay, now if you see, you have an image here, you have a logo here, you have some text here written, you have a fog text box, many text boxes here and here. This has different style, this has different style, so many things you see here, right?
Yeah.
So if I just right click on this and say inspect, okay, in Chrome or in Firefox or in any browser, you would see something called as a developer console. Okay,
Yeah.
this will give you a lot of content about the page, a lot of details about the page. Okay, one such is it will show you the whole HTML. Can you see this is something similar to what I wrote?
Yeah.
So basically in HTML, everything would have an opening tag and a closing tag in general. Okay,
Yeah.
and within that, whatever you mentioned, it could be a image, um, it could be a button, it could be a table, it could be a thing,
Link.
whatever link.
Yeah.
Everything is actually inside HTML. So whatever is inside HTML, only that will be shown to you. Are you getting the point?
Yeah. No.
So this is a very simple HTML I created, correct? Just
Yeah.
with Node. So now on the same lines, this one, if I right click, save as, I can save the whole HTML. Okay. Now before I do that, you see here, this is from facebook.com. But my index, I have it something like my URL is nothing but the file path on the
Yeah.
computer. So if you give the same address, it won't work for you because this file is missing from your computer. Correct?
Yeah.
But if you say facebook.com, anywhere in the world it works fine because it goes to the internet, and through the internet, facebook.com is same address. Correct?
Yeah.
So what would be happening ideally is the file which we have created as index.html, that would be put into a server. Okay, and that would be maybe mapped to, say, for example, techart.com. So the moment everyone in the world or anyone in the world request for techart.com, that particular HTML file would be transferred by the server to the client, and they would see the page.
Mm. Okay.
Did I make sense, everyone? Anyone having questions? Please raise your hand or unmute and speak up. The class is very silent. Okay? Give me a minute. Uh, Rishu, are you able to understand Rishu?
Yes, yes, Vinod.
How about Preeti, Sonal, Swapna? Can you all please respond to me?
Yes, Vinod, I'm clear. Yeah.
All right. Okay. How about uh, Sonal? Sonal Gupta? Can you hear me? Can you please unmute and speak up? Sabina? Sabina, can you at least raise your hand so that I can see if you are able to hear me? Are you?
Hello?
Yes, Sonal.
Yeah.
So, did you able to? Are you able to understand, Sonal?
Yeah, I'm able. Actually, I was not unmuting because like my daughter is making noise.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, Lalitha, I have unmuted you.
Yeah, Vinod, can you show me how you got this script here, the HTML?
Any page, you just right click and do a inspect, you would get that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is not just Facebook or anything. Any browser, any page, you go to google.com also, it will show you what is the HTML content of that.
Okay. Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so
Yeah.
uh,
Thank you.
yeah, so actually HTML is very simple. Like I showed you how. Give me a minute. Where is my notepad? Yeah, it's here. So I showed you in a simple notepad also you can create HTML code, right? Yes, no?
Yeah, Vinod.
Yeah. Now what I'll do, I'll go here to the Facebook, okay, and I'll just copy the content. Okay, I'll copy everything.
Now,
Okay.
Vinod, like
Mhm.
when we are inspecting, we are getting like this, right? The developer tool is coming. So
Mhm.
it's like when we are giving like a view page source, it will also give the same, right? Or it's different.
Yes, it will give the same, but it will also have some references to links and everything. So I'll come to that point. Now,
Okay.
I'm just copying the HTML from here. Copy out for HTML because actually this has a very big HTML. So I'm just copying, or you can do a view source as well. But I'm just copying the HTML, and I'll show you
Okay.
what I'm doing here. Give me a minute. I'll go back to my notepad.
So, Vinod, how do we know which one to copy?
You don't have to know. You just listen to me now. This is not
Okay.
important. Okay, I'm just trying to explain you what is happening. I'm just pasting the content whatever I copied from there. Okay, I'll save this, and now I'll go back to my index and I'll refresh. See what you got here. Do you see the Facebook image is here? The content whatever you see in that page is coming here. Do you see that in our index file?
Yeah.
So basically what I did was I copied the HTML content from Facebook's page. Okay, there are many ways to do it. I just did it through this. You can also do a right click, view page source, and this would be the HTML content of it, but this would be with some references. Okay, I'll tell you what are the references and all that, but for now I just copied the HTML, and that I pasted into my file, and I'm able to see that I'm getting some content just like Facebook. Okay, but there is
Okay.
a drastic difference between this and this, correct? This looks very pretty, this doesn't look pretty, correct?
Yeah.
To make it look prettier you need CSS, and I did not copy the CSS. That's why I did not get that.
Okay.
Okay, so now you are able to basically get an idea of what is HTML. HTML is plain content without any formatting. CSS is not content; it is only formatting. Formatting of how should the what kind of a text should this be, what color, where should it be located, what should be the size and all that.
Okay.
Clear? And if I click this here, login or nothing will happen, correct?
Yeah.
So in order for that to work, you need to have some JavaScripts. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So this much you understand for now. I'll show you show examples. Okay. Now, if I this has a relation, see here. Let me expand here. Do you see this here? HTTPS static fbcdn.net, some address finally ending with CSS here.
Yeah.
So this way, actually, they would be connecting all the CSS files to HTML. I'll show you. If you just copy one of the link and try to open it in a browser, this is nothing but a CSS file. Don't get scared by looking at the size and so many content inside it. That's you need not worry about it. I can tell it that way. Okay, you need not worry how such a big pages are created, how the things are working and all that. I'll show you simple examples. You'll understand how they all work. In a simple 4 line or 5 line of HTML code, I was able to create a couple of headers, text box, button, and all that. Right.
Yeah.
On the same lines, Facebook.com also has HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, HTML would be having the content of what all should be there. Because it's a very big application, you have a lot of things going on there. In our case, it was a simple one. We just had HTML with a couple of headers, one button, one text box. Right? Are you
Yeah.
able to relate that? On the same lines, we did not worry about how the look and feel of our page should be. But Facebook would have taken sufficient care for writing CSS to make it look prettier. Correct?
Yeah.
And they also would have written JavaScript for it to the Facebook.com to interact. So if you press user ID and password and click enter, something has to happen on that enter button click, right? Otherwise, enter will not happen. The enter button click would actually take the request from the client user, go to the server, validate the user ID and password, come back and tell yes, it was successful or not. And if it is successful, it will give you a new page. That page again is going to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So every page on the browser has to be a combination of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Is that clear now? What is HTML, JavaScript, and CSS?
Yeah, Vinod.
Is everyone able to understand? So can I get a vote now? I see today's class to be very silent, so I would like to take a vote. How many of you have understood? Please raise your hand. Okay, I can see many responding. Okay, you can all lower your hands. Okay, so now you understood what is HTML, and the HTML can be created with a simple notepad, and that's how actually. Okay, now the reason it is done this way is because this is actually something like a global standard. Okay, everyone would follow the same. So when we did techarc.com, when we designed the website, we also created HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and put it onto the server. So anyone requesting for techarc.com, we would have paid the domain service provider for our domain name. So techarc.com would be mapped to our server, and that server would be hosting files, and based on the request we will send the responses. For example, if you are asking for facebook.com, the Facebook's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will be sent to your PC. If you're asking for google.com, Google's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will be sent to you. And if you're asking for techart.com, techart.com's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will be sent to you. Understand?
Yeah.
All right. Give me a minute. Yeah, Lita, you can unmute and speak up. Yeah, Ruchi, got any questions?
Vinod, is TechArc just on JavaScript or AngularJS also? Like,
Okay. Um, let's not go there for now.
okay,
Okay. In simple terms, if I want to tell you, you can develop your front end using any framework or platform or anything. Ultimately, the end result will be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Is that clear?
yes.
Yeah. So for now, let's just concentrate on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let's not go into Angular or anything. But understand that Angular is just a language where you write your particular HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in a particular way. But
Okay,
ultimately, everything is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
okay,
If it is not initially, it will get converted so that every browser can understand. Every browser can understand only these three things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
okay.
So
Vinod, where
yeah,
can we see the JavaScripts written for the front page?
okay,
Is it visible to others
no,
like HTML and CSS?
it would not. Only the front end would be visible to the user. Whatever is not visible to the user, you can tell that is a backend. So let's not worry about those things right now. You would not be able to understand the whole process within a single day. Just keep to, I mean, keep your limits to whatever I'm explaining here. If you understand just
Okay.
whatever I'm explaining, that should be good enough.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on, you understood how I create with a notepad, simply how I easily created some HTML tags and just work. Selvanandini, so far all good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So next is we'll look at CSS. Now you could see that without CSS, okay, your page is very blank, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
CSS, you can actually make it look much prettier. Before we do that, I'll just show you some slides here. Give out this one. Yeah. So here I've just shown you some slides. Okay. This one is a header slide, paragraph slide. Okay. You can just copy this to see what is the result. So what I'll do here, I'll just copy this. I'll open my notepad. I'll replace everything. Just okay. And now I'll go to index, refresh. Now I'll see just what I gave it. Alright.
Okay.
So next is yeah. Now I told you there is something like a boilerplate. Boilerplate is nothing but initial draft. Look at it like that. Basically, HTML application or a HTML page is incomplete when you just give the content. Okay. Along with that content, you need to say sorry. You need to say actually what is the details like title, like the header. So when you open facebook.com, you can see on top of the browser here, you can see I have Facebook icon. It says Facebook, and it has a lot of the details, right? Like
Yeah.
here it says this is secure page. All these are not content. These are something like a boilerplate. I mean, not a boilerplate. You can say, see, these are something like they are attached to your HTML file, and they make more precise on what actually is inside that page. I mean, here you can see HTTP facebook.com, and it says it is secure because uh, the whole HTML is just not the content. We also have many other uh, details attached to it. Let's not go into what those details, how many other, what kind of things. Just remember that HTML, as in if you just create the tags, it is not a full-fledged complete HTML. Even though it works fine, you need to have some boilerplate along with it. So that boilerplate is nothing but what I've given here. So this is actually for developers, so you can ignore it for now. Okay, I'll just show you what exactly it is. I'll just copy it.
Is it kind of a template, you mean?
Yes,
Vinod?
it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is. It's actually initial boilerplate for your HTML. So what you have to do is, I'll just paste that whole boilerplate here, and what I'll do, every content has to be within the body tag that is here. So I'll just create it like this, save it like this. Okay, and now I'll go to the page, I'll refresh. This still looks the same. There is no difference, correct? Even after making those changes, but now you can say that this is a full-fledged HTML. All right, so you can try this out, but don't worry, the developers will be there to take care of it. It's not your own. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, we'll just move forward. Okay, now comments inside HTML can be written like this. This is syntax, ignore that for now. Then I'll just write some more common tags here. I'll just copy them. I'll go back to my
Index.
yeah, here. I'll just add on, and let me not replace. I'll just add those tags. Okay, save this, go back to my index, refresh. Now you can see I have different types of contents in here. You have headers, small headers, you have a paragraph, you have a button, you have a list. The list of two types, one is with just the dots, and others with 1, 2, and all that. So all these are coming from HTML, correct?
Yeah.
So that HTML is nothing but this. Okay, I'll show you the this one. See now, let me keep this one beside the other. Yeah, so now you can see I am header is coming from this h1. I am a slightly smaller header is coming from this. On the same lines, I'm a paragraph is coming from this. I'm a button is coming from this. I'm a list is coming from this. And ordered UL is nothing but unordered list, which is coming with a dot. And OL is nothing but ordered list, which is coming with a 1, 2, 3 order. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you need to understand here? The only thing you need to understand here is that HTML is actually the content. It is like a skeleton for the human body. Without that, you won't have the front end. Okay, but HTML alone cannot do anything. HTML is just a static page of static content, static page of static content. Okay, all these tags inside it. HTML is just nothing but plain static content of your response. Am I clear so far, everyone? Anyone having doubts, please raise your hand or speak up. I showed you a simple way of how to create it. Like I created a notepad, and inside that I just put in all the content, right? On same lines, developers would do a lot of things to it, so don't worry about that. But to your knowledge, it should be that it is pretty simple, and I showed you some examples with which you can create. Any questions so far? How come I
No,
don't
no.
see any questions? Everyone is able to understand everything?
If you are explaining logic, then maybe we will ask more questions. This is not. This is like there's
Okay,
no understanding it. It's just learning. We are learning this. That's why I
okay.
think.
All right, not a problem. Finally, give me a minute. Okay. Now, on the same lines, we can create CSS also. But before that, I'll show you some more tags. Yeah. Now let's see what is the attribute. Okay. So far you know what is a tag, right? Let me present this. So far you know what is a tag, right? You understood
Yeah.
what is a tag. You have h1 is a tag here, tag name. This is the opening tag, this is the closing tag, and everything inside that is the content, correct?
Yeah.
Now we'll go one step further. We have okay, these are some special cases. Yeah, let me show you. Yeah, so this is a tag, opening tag, this is a closing tag. Whatever you see in between these braces here is nothing but your content. But whatever you see inside the brace, inside the bracket, I mean inside this tag here, those are attributes. Okay, so the attributes could be, there are many kinds. Sorry, yeah, the attributes could be many things. Uh, the attributes define what many things about the HTML element. So if it is a text box, it will tell you what kind of a text box is it and all this. If it is an image, it will give you the link of the image. So for example, here it is telling what is the link of this particular file, hrefs, and if it is an anchor, that is a link. It will take. Okay, let me just copy this so that you can see. Now let me copy this particular. Give me a minute. Let me copy this tag and put it inside my links here. I'll paste this, save this. Now let's see what is inside here. Refresh. Now you have a link which says click me to go to Google, and
Yeah.
when you do that, it will navigate to that particular link. Okay, and how did you mention that? Just by saying hrefgoogle.com, you're mentioning that this particular page. Okay, I'll just show you. Yeah, here you're mentioning href, that is hyperlink reference for this anchor is actually going to this particular page. So when you click it, it will take you to the Google page. Simple, right? So there are many attributes to the to a given element. So all you need to know for now, there are different tags for different kinds of element. You would have already seen that for header one, for button it is different, for paragraph it is different, for text box it is different, for images it is different, for links it is different. Every different elements of the web will have its own syntax for a HTML element. So if it is a button, it will have button syntax. If it is a text box, it will have text box syntax. Are you getting the point? What is
Uh,
what are these tags?
yeah, Vinod. I mean, what's the difference between tag starting with A and then a link? It's like A is like HTML and the link,
These are
this one is
these are just
refers to.
different tags. For now, you don't have to worry about it. As of now, you just understand that these are different tags, and different tags behave differently. If I give it as h1, it comes as a text as a header. If I give it as a button, it comes as a button. If I give it as a, it comes as a link. If I give it as link, it is used for internal purpose. Let's not go. Let's not investigate that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You will see some examples later. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, um, whatever you see inside the tag, that is in this case I'm saying class is equal to selected, right? That defines some properties of that element. For example, this is the image tag or image tag, and the image should have a resource source, right? What should be the link of the image? That will come here. In case of a paragraph, you can have some properties of that paragraph. In case of a button, you can have properties of the button. In case of anchor, that is a link, you can have properties of the anchor. Are you getting the point? Those properties are nothing but attributes for the HTML element.
So you mean to say like in the tag starting with P, the selected is like attribute, and then whatever is coming in
Yeah,
that
give me a minute.
value.
This P is the tag name, correct?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, tag name.
This is the oof is the content. This is the
Correct.
closing tag. This is the opening tag. Now, class is the attribute name and selected is the attribute value. On same lines, hrefs is the attribute name, www.google.com is the attribute value. src is the see img, pa, all these are tag names, correct?
Yeah,
These are all attribute names. These are all attribute values. These are content. Are you able to get what is the content, what is the attribute, what is a tag? Everyone?
Yes, Vinod.
Give me a minute. Okay, everyone, I request you all to actually join the classroom on time so that I unmute everyone in the beginning of the class itself. Because every now and then, if you keep sending me question about please unmute me, I won't be able to handle it. Okay? Yeah, Deepika, I have unmuted you now. Can you please speak?
Sorry, Vinod. I don't know. There was an issue with my internet. I was not able to. I had to reconnect many times.
Okay, yeah.
So Vinod, the question is within the A tag, is it? I mean, should I always have that H reference attribute, or can I
It
have
depends.
attributes
It
of
depends.
other tags?
It depends. Let's not go there. See, this actually slide I had actually created for a web developer. Okay, this is the role of a web developer. Now, why do you need to understand all these things? Right? That should have been your question, first of all. Correct?
Yes.
we
Your
used
role.
to refer this for writing Selenium code, right?
Yes, that's right. So when you are doing a testing of your browser, right? So for example, if you need to write a test case for Gmail, okay, and if you need to automate it, you would be, how would you write a test case for Gmail? You would say enter user ID, enter password, then click on the login button and confirm if you have logged in or confirm if you have logged out. Correct? This would be your
Yeah,
test case. Now
yes,
all these process, whatever I said, like please enter the username, please enter the password, please click on the button which says login. All these things are nothing but steps in the test case. Correct? And these
correct.
steps can be automated using Selenium, right? Selenium can automatically type in your user ID, can automatically type in your password, and it can do the testing on behalf of you, right?
Yeah,
So basically automation testing is nothing but manual testing being automated is nothing but your automation testing. In tomorrow's classroom, you'll get much more details about what is Selenium, what is testing, what is manual testing, what is automation testing, and all that. But for now, just understand the idea why this topic is being covered for you. You need to understand all these things in order to automate things. Are you getting the point? If you need to automate something in a given text box, for example, if you want to type in a username and password, you need to know what exactly it is and how to enter text into it, right? Yes, no.
yeah,
So
yes,
in order to understand those, you need to understand what is a tag name, what is a attribute name, what is attribute value, and all these things. Are you getting the picture why this is covered? So
Yeah,
keep your
Vinod.
only to that level. Don't try to become a web developer. All right.
Yes, Vinod.
You won't have to develop it. You will just have to understand it. All right. Moving on. Okay. So this image, okay, is img is the uh, tag name, and src is your attribute name, and corgi.png is actually the value of the your attribute. Is these 3 points clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now moving on. To get this particular image in your HTML page, you need to write your code like this. Okay. src will give you the link of the image, and img is your tag name.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Uh, These are some links which I have given. Basically, like if you need to get a link to go to Google, you will write href equal to google.com. If you need to go to Reddit, you will write href equal to reddit.com. So basically, anchor, href, URL, and the text. So whatever you see the content here, this will be visible to the user, and this will be behind the scene. You click on this, it goes here. So you will see a text by name. See, let me just explain. Here you will see a text which says click me to go to Google. This is your content, but as soon as you click, it takes you to the page, right? That is coming from your URL here, href.
Okay.
Okay, so there are different HTML tags, there are different HTML attributes and all that. So those things would be learned by the web developer, and they would take care of it. You don't have to worry about it. All you need to know that whenever you see HTML, you need to understand what is tag in it, what is the attribute in it, what is the attribute value in it. You need to know all these things.
Yeah,
Is this
correct.
clear?
Yes.
That would be your role. So keep your context only to that level. All right.
Yes,
Now
Vinod.
tomorrow's classroom, you would understand much more on what is testing and all that. Today, I'll just give you a brief idea. Okay, so say if you want to test Facebook.com's website, you would have a test case like login into Facebook. That test case would be telling that, okay, enter this username, enter this password, and click on this button, login button, and verify whether you have logged in or not.
Standard. Yeah.
Okay, so to do all these things manually, you know how to do it, but to automate this, you would be using Selenium. And in Selenium, you would be for example, if you want to enter the username, how do you enter the username? You need to search for the whole HTML and find out where is your username. You need to search the whole HTML and get where is the password. And once you get hands on those username and password, you can say, okay, enter this text, enter this text, correct? And then
Yeah.
you have to search for where is your button, and you have to perform an action like click this button. Okay, to do all these operations, you use Selenium.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes, Vinod.
So now you understood what is HTML, what is CSS, and where does Selenium come into this.
Yeah.
Anyone having questions on whatever I said so far? Anyone? Wow, no questions. I'm wondering why. Are you
Today's
really
like a
understanding?
silent class.
Yeah. Am I so clearly explaining everything?
Yes, Vinod. It's all the syntax we have to learn. So yeah.
No, don't worry about that. Syntaxes and all, it's developers' headache. Developers like me.
Yeah.
So you
So
don't have to
basically,
worry
we
about
just
Yeah.
need to know these these words or
So,
terms, right?
yeah, that's all. So if I say go test facebook.com, say you're employed in as a Facebook in a Facebook company, you are employed as a QA automation engineer. Okay, do you really need to know how Facebook has been developed? No, right? You just need to
Yeah.
test it so that the quality is assured.
Yeah.
So let's stay there. Okay, if you are going to Facebook as a developer, then you need to worry about how to do this, how to do that, and do that, because on the same lines, developer would not be worried about how you automate the testing. He is only worried about how to create the product.
Right.
are,
Yeah.
are you able to get the picture? So it is developer's role is different, tester's role is different. Okay? So you are getting trained for testers, so let's keep it to that level. Okay, now Selenium, I'll just give you some brief overview. Selenium is a tool or a framework helping you to test web applications. Okay, all right. Is this clear?
Yes, Vinod.
There is another tool on the same lines. There are a lot of other tools. Okay, to test the web application itself, not just Selenium. Am I clear?
Yes, Vinod.
Yes, Vinod. Yeah.
On the same lines, we have other applications also. We don't Web application is not the only application, right? You will have even Windows application, you will have even mobile applications, correct?
Yeah.
So to test these, there are different frameworks. For example, to test a mobile application, you have APM framework. To test other, similarly, you have a lot of other different frameworks. So you'll understand whatever framework you're learning, you'll understand that time what is the purpose of that particular framework. Is it to test a web application, or is it to test a Windows application, or is it to test a mobile application? Those things you'll learn when you learn those frameworks. So we'll be learning Selenium, Cucumber, Protractor, and APM, and many other things. All right.
Okay.
So when we learn that, in particular, you'll understand why we use it and all that. For now, I'm just giving you an overview of Selenium, overview of HTML, and the context behind the automation and all that. Okay, so far so good, everyone?
Yes, Vinod.
Okay, let's move on to CSS then. Okay,
Okay.
okay. Let me just make some simple CSS. Let me not complicate things. I'll just do some simple CSS. Because you're not web developers, I want to keep it to as minimum as possible. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I created this HTML, right? Now, if I just go here, I am able to see this. Now, what I'll do, I'll just go back to my previous slide. Give me a minute. I want a particular. Yeah, I was looking for this. Let me copy this. Let me go to my index. I'll just paste it inside the header somewhere here. I'll say style.css. Okay. Now, see, this is the path of the file. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll copy this within the same folder. Okay. I'll create another file and give it this name. Now, the HTML, this HTML and CSS are now linked together. HTML is a separate file, CSS is a separate file, but now these two are linked together. All right.
Yeah, Vinod.
Yeah. Now what I'll do, I'll write a small syntax here. Ignore the syntax just as you understand the context. So now what I'll do, I'll say h1. Okay, and to be frank, I forgot the syntax. Okay, give me a minute. Let me open up my CSS slide. Okay, before I write code, let me give some presentation here. So in CSS, okay, whatever you see here on the left, this is plain HTML, correct?
Yeah.
Just adding CSS styling to it, you can convert the whole thing into what you see in the right. It is still the same content, but this is presentable, this is not presentable, right?
Yeah.
So CSS helps you in presenting by formatting whatever you like in the way you want it. All right.
Yes.
Now CSS syntax is just like HTML. You have tags and attributes and attribute names. In CSS we have selectors and property value. Let me repeat myself. Just like in HTML you have uh, your tag name, your attribute and attribute value. In CSS you have selector, you have name of the property and value of the property, and this is the syntax for it. All right, this syntax you need to know. But what are all the selectors, what are all the properties, those things you need not worry. You need to know
Okay.
only basics. Some of the, as and when you work in some examples, you will pick up those basics. Those are good enough. Like in HTML, we learned how to create buttons, how to create anchors, how to create text boxes and all that, right? You need not worry about
Yeah.
how to create huge pages and all that. But in general, in simple terms, you need to know how is this created, how is that created, and all that. All right?
Yes.
Okay. Selected property and all that. Okay, fine. Now I'll show you. These are some examples. See here, H1 color purple, font size 56. You see this? Here,
Yeah.
let's try this out. So what I'll do, I'll just do this. Yeah. Now this is our HTML, correct?
Yeah.
Now what I'll do, I'll write my selector as H1. Okay, I'll write the syntax like this, and I'll write say color, and I'll make it red. Clear? Save
Yeah.
this. Now I'll refresh my page. Something went wrong. What did I do wrong?
That CSS file you connected in header tag, is it like that, or we need to connect it in body tag?
I think it is header. Why is this changing? Uh-huh. As per my knowledge, it is. I mean, I don't really remember this. Give me a minute. What did I do in a syntax
Vinod,
error?
I have a question, Vinod.
1 minute. Let me do this, and then you can ask me.
Okay.
Now let me. Mhm. Are we using H1 first of all in our? Yes, we are using. I know H1. Just give me 2 minutes. This should be in the header. Href style sheet style.css. This is style.css. Should be good. Give me a minute. Let me pause the recording and see what is going on. Do you guys need a break? You can go for a vote. The recording now. Yeah. Moving on. Money has a question. Yeah, Money.
Yeah, Vinod. We are creating HTML files, right? In Notepad. And how it to redirect to the web browser?
You will have some syntaxes here, just like we gave anchor, and we are
Inside,
planning to redirect it to google.com, right here in this place. So on
in
the same line,
the inside of the
we'll
HTML
have
file?
syntax. Yeah, we'll have syntaxes and all that. So as soon as you click on this link, it will take you to the google.com. Okay. So
Thank you.
if I say something like http:// okay, let me save this. Let me go back to my refresh this, and the moment I click this, it will take me to google.com. Did you see that happen? That is how redirects happen.
Yeah.
And now
Okay.
if you want, on click of this button, if you want to take it, then you will have to write JavaScript for it. It is not possible with the HTML. So there are many things
Okay.
inside web development. Okay, you don't have to do a development, so don't worry about it. But you need to understand, once they have developed it, you need to understand what they have done it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Now moving on. Going up here. So now we have a style linked like this, and we have a style here. Okay. You saw that we gave colors here. Now the Visual Studio Code is just helping us to give some color codes here, so it is easy to understand. In Notepad it was all plain black. It was not easy to understand what is a tag, what is a, now tag has a different color, attribute has a different color, property has a different color, selector has a different color. So it is making things easier, and it is also giving us some helpful tips like this, like you go here, it helps you to change color. Let me change it to green. Okay, save this file. It is auto typing the syntax and all that. Okay, let me go here, refresh. Now everything becomes green. You see that?
Yeah.
Now I make this, I copy this whole thing, and I replace it. Now let me do it for h3. Make this color, h3's color as maybe yellowish or something, some color. Let's make it font 26. Save this. If we have any h3, it will change the color. We don't have a h3. How good is that? Okay, let's try. Did we do h2 or something? Save this. Yeah, we have a h2. Okay, so this is changing
Yeah.
color. If I have a paragraph, the paragraph will change color. Let's see. Yeah, the paragraph is changing color. If I have a list, unordered list, let me save this. Now hopefully our unordered list is changing color. Do you see that? Now we understood
Yeah.
what is a selector.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, Give me a few more minutes before you ask your questions. Preeti and the thing, wait for a minute. Now you understood what is a HTML, what is a tag, what is a selector, what is an attribute, what is the role of an attribute. You know, like in case of Google, I had a attribute which said uh, yeah, where is it, yeah, yeah, I had a attribute by name href and a value by this one, so that I can navigate to that. Or if I change this to Facebook and save this, now moving on, if I go here, refresh, if I click this, it goes to Facebook, not to Google. So you understood how we are doing the development, and you understood what is a tag name, what is a attribute name, what is attribute value, what is a content, correct? And on same lines,
Yeah.
you understood what is a selector, what is a property, what is the value of the property, and all these things you have understood. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
There are different ways of doing this also. Now if I say I'll say a different syntax. Now I'll say dot. Um, uh, Let me say maybe my bold text. Some my own syntax I'll write. Now U1, H1, all these things are predefined HTML tags, right? But this my bold text is mine, right? I can say
Yeah.
Vinod the bold text, something, and I can say um, color to be red. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll just copy this text. I'll say go to my HTML and I'll say maybe this ordered list. I'll say class equal to Vinod bold text. I can say button equal to buttons class equal to this. So this is one way of doing it. Save all and save all. Okay, I've done a save all. Now if I go back to my HTML, refresh. Now you see this is red, this is red. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Now let me go back here. Let me add some more details to it. Maybe I want to make it font size. Now you can see this drop down and linting coming here, right?
Yeah.
These things are given by Visual Studio, but if you're doing it in Notepad, you have to type it yourself. Okay. So what I'll do,
Okay.
I will say font size to be 30 pixel. Okay. Save this.
Okay.
Now let me refresh. You can see it's bigger. Do you see it? Now,
Yeah.
what we need to understand is, I did it in one place, but now it is repeating in many places. Correct?
Yes.
Because the same class is being used in multiple places. So if I decide tomorrow, I'm sorry, we lost the screen. Some hardware issues today. Give me a minute. Yeah, let's move on. So I showed you how to create HTML, what is tags, attributes, and all that, how it works, some simple examples, and I showed you what is a class and how do we use same class in many places. So say for one fine day, if I come back, I want to add the same class. Maybe I go to the HTML and maybe this particular header. Okay, maybe I'll say this header. I'll say class equal to, save this. Then if I go here, refresh. Now you see this. Three things have changed in red color and same font and everything. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the same lines, you can do lot of things in web development. Okay. Now what is your role? Why did I tell this? Okay. Now when you are working on automation, right? You need to get hold of particular web elements, right? Say for example, if you have a text box and you want to automate typing into that text box, your first context would be to get hold of the text box reference, then start your typing into it. Okay, all this you have to automate, right? So for example,
Yeah.
if you want to click the button, you have to get hold of the button and then only you can click it, right? Now how do you get hold of the button? You can get hold of it by using tags, by using attributes, right? So you can say
Yeah.
get all the elements with h6 tag, or maybe you can say I'm just making this up. This I'm not giving you syntaxes. Syntaxes will be spoken tomorrow. Okay,
Okay.
be clear. So in Selenium, what we'll do, we will try to get hold of web elements. So in this case, I'll get hold of this button, or maybe I'll get hold of this first item of this list, or I'll get hold of all the items that are red in color, or I can get hold of all the items that are green in color or particular with this particular class name, or maybe we can say this particular ID, or there are many ways to do it. How many ways, what are the ways, those things we'll learn in tomorrow's classroom. But just remember that now that we understood how all these things are put together, are working together, I'm just giving you ideas on how this will relate to your testing. Okay, say you want to click on this link. Okay, it could be that you have multiple links, or it could be just one link, or you may want to click on all the links. First of all, you need to get hold of the link, right? And only then you can
Yeah.
perform the click operation. So to get hold
Yes.
of the link, you need to understand how HTML works, and based on that, you can say, okay, give me all the links, or give me a link which has Google as the reference, or give me a link which has Facebook as the reference, or give me a link which says GOOGLE in its text, or give me a link which says CLICK in its text, or give me a link which is purple in color, or give me a link which has this particular class in it. You can say many ways, right?
Yeah.
So which way and why we do it that way, all those things we can discuss later. But for now, now that you have understood HTML, you have understood CSS, you have understood what is property, tag, attribute, values of the property, values of the attribute, and all this, using those, you will get hold or reference of the particular element, web element, and you can perform actions on that web element. It could be a click action, it could be a type in action, it could be a copy action, it could be a drag and drop option, or whatever. Any action on the web element can be performed.
Yes.
Are you getting the context?
Yeah.
How to do that syntax wise and others will discuss tomorrow. Now, what is testing? Testing is nothing but you manually test the application, and you automate it using Selenium. And to automate it, how do you automate? First of all, you need to get the reference, get hold of the web element. You know what is a web element because you have seen HTMLs and all that. Now you know what is a web element. Now button is a web element, the paragraph is a web element, the image is a web element, the link is a web element, everything is a web element. Now get hold of the
Yeah.
web element, perform different operations. You can perform click operation on a button, you can perform type operation on a text box, you can perform drag and drop on particular options. There are many different actions. We'll learn
Yeah.
all those things. But you will perform those actions on a given web element, and that makes testing automated. Are you getting the context?
Yes,
What is
Vinod.
automation? Okay, and you also got to know that you can perform actions like I want to click on the first header, I want to click on the third header, I want to click on all the headers, I want to do this, copy all the header text, I want to get a header which has small in its text, or I want to get a header which is red in color. You can do many things, correct?
Yeah.
For example, now you are going to test, say, Facebook.com. You want to get hold of the element which says user ID. So let me show you that. So say you want to perform an operation here. You want to press on your user ID here, click on user ID, you click on password and press enter. That will perform your login text case, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to get this user ID. How do I get it? You cannot get it without knowing the HTML, right? Now you knew the HTML, you can get it. Now without knowing also in browser, just right click, inspect the element would get selected here. Okay, let me expand the element here and explain what I mean. Okay, now I'll just zoom in. You see input tag here.
Yeah.
It has attribute by name, type equal to email, class equal to input text, name equal to email, ID equal to email, tab index equal to 1, data test ID equal to this, autocomplete equal to this. All these are attributes. Am I right?
Correct.
Input is the tag name. Am I right?
Yes.
So using these, you can get hold of this particular text box and you can perform actions on it. How? That we'll see tomorrow. On the same lines, if you want to get hold of this image, for example, right click, inspect, see. IMG is the tag name, class IMG is the attribute and attribute value, SRC is the attribute, and see this is the image URL, height is the attribute, 195 is the value of it, correct?
Correct. Yes, Vinod.
So using such this way, you can get hold of anything you want and perform all the operations you want. Say for example, you need this button. Right click this button, inspect this button. You'd get to know this. So it is getting selected here. So you have a button.
Yeah. Tag name is button. Yeah.
Using all these things, you can perform automation testing. So once you get hold of this button, you can perform actions on it like click, drag and drop, right click, all these things. Am I clear?
Yeah, Vinod.
On the same lines for anything, any web element, it could be radio button or anything. You just inspect it, you would get it. See, inspect the radio button is also input, but type equal to radio and name equal to 6, value equal to 1. On the same lines, if you see the second radio button, you would see name equal to, see, everything is the same, just the value is 2. For this value is
Yeah.
1, for this value is 2. Okay,
Yes.
so there are different
Yes.
ways. Now if you say I want all the inputs with type as radio, you'll get all the radio buttons. Okay,
Correct.
if you say
Yeah.
I want everything with just type as radio but value name as 6, you'll get 2. If you say okay, I want type radio, name 6 and value equal to 2, you'll just get 1.
Correct.
And if you say I want everything with just id as u underscore 0 underscore a, you'll just get 1, because id has to be unique in HTML. Are you getting the point?
Yeah, Vinod.
Is everyone clear on HTML? Yes, no, no, yes.
Yes, Vinod.
Yes, Vinod. Yeah.
Now, one minute before the questions, I'll just name. One last thing, you can also say that I want everything with class name such and such. It could be single, it could be multiple. You saw using the class we made 3-4 items as red, right?
Yeah.
Now it could be a different element. See, div is a separate element. Inside the div, there could be other divs. There could be many things. The HTML is a huge text, right?
Yeah.
So the
Under
iframe
div
also.
tag, you have multiple fields.
There is iframe here at the bottom. There is a body tag. There is a script tag. There are a lot of things. What
Yeah.
refers to what? That's not your concern. But you can do the reverse engineering where, say, if you want to get hold of this image, right click, inspect, you get the image. If you want to get hold of this particular text, right click, inspect. Why would you need a text? You want to verify whether that gives. So for example, if you log in, after you log in, it will say welcome Vinod, right? So how do you
Yeah.
verify the login is successful? By getting hold of a text and seeing the value in it. So you can expect something like, okay, the expected text is welcome Vinod or welcome Preeti. Are you
Yeah.
getting the point? So that way you
Yes,
can do
Vinod.
automation. So automatically you can verify was it a successful, or if it says unable to you the user ID password is wrong, you can verify that also by getting the hold of that particular text. And how do you get hold of that particular text? You can reach it by its ID or by its class or it's by type. There are many ways to reach it. Are you getting the context?
Yes, Vinod.
Yeah, now question time. Please tell me any questions. Tarni, let me unmute.
Vinod, what was the ID that you were using for the HTML?
I didn't use any ID, but I'm just saying it's possible. So there are many ways to do it. All the ways we'll discuss it more. I think there are in Selenium, these are called as locators. There are 8 different locators to reach the thing. Those things we'll look at it tomorrow.
Yeah, Vinod, but I'm asking about the ID that was giving you the auto suggestion for the font size
Oh,
and
ID
all that.
is it? Okay, I'm sorry. ID's name is Visual Studio Code.
Okay.
It's from Microsoft. It's a free IDE.
Yeah.
Actually, you can do it in Eclipse also, but Visual Studio Code is much friendly for web development. So
Yeah,
that's
that
why
looks good. Yeah.
it's called Visual Studio Code, VS Code.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Any questions?
Vinod,
Vinod, can we? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sorry, you can carry on.
Yeah, just wanted to ask you that we can download that, right? Visual.
Yeah, you can download that. It's free. Visual Studio Code, Microsoft Visual Studio Code.
Okay.
Other question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question?
Vinod, actually, in UFT automation, like for holding any web element, we can take some unique elements. Like if it is a one
Okay,
class,
hold on.
I can take.
Hold on. Is it something what I discussed today?
Yeah, it's like we can get it like unique contents, or like it will be multiple elements will have same class name. Class name,
Okay.
I'm aware of it. Like it will be unique.
Yes. Please ask me your question. What is your question?
Like class name will be unique for, right? But how you are saying, like some with a class name, common elements can take like that.
Okay. Can we discuss that tomorrow? It's not today's topic.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll learn all those things tomorrow when we discuss on Selenium. All right. And locators and all that.
Yeah, sure.
Today we
Vinod,
are just getting the context of what is Selenium, why we need to know automation, why we need HTML, why we need CSS, how things are put together, how the basic internet works. See, unless you know how the product works, you wouldn't understand why we are doing it. Correct? So I told you how internet works, a brief overview. Then I told you
Yeah.
some simple example of how HTML works and how CSS works. Now you got a context of how application is created, and then I'm giving you a context of why we need to know it to understand testing. So this much we have covered so far. Any questions on this, you can ask me.
Okay.
Vinod, can you repeat the assignment 12?
Assignment number 12 is just nothing but I want you to create a simple Java application. It could be just to add write a function to add two numbers, right? And scanner input to enter, maybe you can enter 5 and 2, the result should be 7. A very simple example, but all this you know how to do it, and you have already done it using Eclipse. I just want you to do it using very just Notepad without even opening Eclipse. How do you run it? How do you compile it, and how do you run it? It's you Google search it, you'll get it how to do it. It's a very simple assignment. You can write any function. Maybe you can take this particular example itself as your assignment. Write a function to do summation, and the function will take two different parameters. That could be integers. You can add in through scanners. Just give any value. It should give the result sum of it. All right. Assignment 12 clear?
Through command prompt.
Yes. But I want you to not use Eclipse and do just with Notepad.
Got it.
Yeah. Notepad and command prompt. All right. Any other questions on what I covered today? Sheetal. Yes, Sheetal. Let me unmute you. Yes, ask me your questions.
Because I think this assignment was covered in the
Is it?
had some
In your
questions.
prerequisites, is it?
First test.
Stephen, I'm not able to hear
July.
you. Can you repeat?
I think it was covered on the July 18th test.
July what?
18 had some test.
Okay. In that case, maybe you can ignore that. I wasn't aware that it is covered. If it is covered, then you can ignore it.
And the way how we run it from command prompt.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
So maybe assignment 12 you can cancel it. So I'll give you a different assignment 12. Please try the HTML CSS what we did today. Exactly same what we did today, and few more here and there. You can put some trial and error. Watch the video. Just do the same. That is your assignment 12. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, Dikshit, you can help me with the form for assignment 12. All right. Any questions on what we covered so far? Is it that the I am explaining it really good, or is it that the topic is boring or anything? Why I don't see any questions?
Vinod, I have a question.
Wow. Yeah, Deepika, tell
Yeah.
me.
When you did a right click on the username of Facebook to inspect the element,
Mm-hmm.
it took you to that input tag, right? There I saw that input tag didn't have a end tag. So I mean, only that didn't have a end tag. Other things,
No,
whatever you
there are
showed.
different kinds. Input has an end tag. I'll show you where it is.
Uh,
Okay. And uh, some tags have end tags, some don't have. That was a general syntax alone. I'll just right click input. I'll expand this. Okay. Let me. Okay. Good hold. This doesn't have a end tag.
yeah.
Okay. But looks like it is optional.
Was it optional? Okay. So I thought all the start tag should have definitely have end tag. That's what I was.
No, it's optional.
Okay.
Some have, some don't have.
Okay.
Alright. Any other questions?
Abhi here.
Hi, Abhi. Yeah, Abhi, I'll just give you an overview of what has been covered. Shall I?
Yeah, what did you say? Aware of this. So team, there is no excuse. I want 100% attendance. Sunday, we are going to work all Sundays. Okay, so not this Sunday, all Sundays. We're a little lag in our syllabus. Recruiters are, really upset on the training team because we take more time. But syllabus is high and we need to teach in detail. That doesn't work for them. Right? So that's why we are extending classes for this Sunday also. So be ready. Anybody?
Questions on what we covered so far? No one? No questions?
I'm good.
All right. All right. So you understood what is Selenium? I'm sorry, what is automation testing? Every context you understood, right? So tomorrow we'll look at how we work on Selenium and few steps on it. Until then, I think this much is good enough for today. You have got the basics, and what else? I think we are good now. Okay. Tomorrow, okay, I'll just give you some overview. Okay. Is that okay? On what is our testing and all that?
Yeah, Vinod.
Initially, we will start off with Selenium testing. Okay, Selenium is actually a product which will help you to do automation testing for web development. Okay, that will be the first part. Then we will cover Protractor. Protractor is built on top of Selenium. Okay, that will also help you in web development testing. I'm sorry, web testing, web application testing. uh, the advantage you get in Protractor, there are some couple of advantages. We'll talk about those advantages when we talk about Protractor. And on top of it, we have Cucumber. Cucumber is a framework which not only helps in testing Selenium or Protractor, it also helps in many other places. We'll see what is Cucumber later. But that is also a testing framework which makes testing simpler. Our ultimate goal is to bring manual testing to be fully automated and cover up as much as possible to be automatic. For example, just imagine a scenario where Facebook comes up some changes with its product. There are lots of features within Facebook, right? Say if something drastically is affecting all the features. Okay, now imagine if something goes wrong in Facebook, and if Facebook goes down for maybe a couple of days, do you know how much of a revenue would be lost there? If Facebook is down for, say, if they are assume they are making $1 billion a month or maybe a year. Let's assume, okay, it's even much bigger than that, but just to assume they are making $1 billion a day or a month. On a daily basis they make probably about 50-60 million dollars. So even if Facebook is down for just couple of hours, just 2 hours also, then it is millions of dollars in revenue which is lost, right? And there will be loss of trust, and users will start complaining, which is a huge thing. And the role of QA engineers here is to make sure that doesn't happen. Do you agree?
Yeah, Vinod.
Yeah. So your context here is that your automation testing, the reason you do automation testing is because manually, if you want to test each and every framework, there are a couple of things. One is the timeline. You would need months together just to test few things, right? And automation testing helps you to make it faster. First point. Second thing, you would avoid human errors, correct? Human errors could be like you by mistake you are skipping some steps, and unfortunately those steps may have some errors, right? So those human errors can be avoided in automation testing. Then you could do a lot of parallel testing. If you single person want to do it, you cannot complete the testing of whole Facebook product in maybe 1 month. Also you may take more than that to test each and every product feature manually. Am I right?
Yeah.
But if it is automation, you can replicate it and the whole testing can be completed maybe within 1 hour. Or if you want to do a testing where if the number of posts on your page goes beyond 10,000, there is a particular feature coming up. Then if that is the case, to feed 10,000 content or posts manually, it is a big headache, right? You would
Yeah.
have to sit manually do it. If it is automated, the code would do it very quickly and without any errors, and you would replicate it in within few minutes. Am I right?
Yeah.
So these are the advantages and the direction why we go into automation testing. So I've given you a context. Are you getting the context? Why we need automation and why automation engineers are needed, and why is there an opening in a company for automation engineer?
Yes, Vinod.
Is the context clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So tomorrow, from tomorrow onwards, we'll learn how to do automation testing. All right,
Yeah.
everyone. Okay. Today's assignment is just to try the same HTML and CSS and play around with it. No, okay. I'll just write the assignment. Give me a minute. So otherwise it will become unofficial. I'll create the assignment. Give me 1 minute. Okay, drive. Just okay, this would be assignment number 12, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just renaming it. Whatever I'm typing is going to go into the Google Drive immediately. Okay, this is your assignment number 12, and create a HTML page. Okay, now it should have button. It should have uh, maybe headers 2, 4, 1, and all that. H1, H2, like that. Then 3. We should have a paragraph. You should have links. You should have radio button. You should have image, and you should have then create CSS and link to the CSS. Just one simple CSS. Then color, change some colors, to change some font size. Then finally coming back to HTML, add class uh, attribute to some elements. Each one is add some ID attributes. Okay. In CSS, I told you if you just say h1, all h1 elements would be affected. Correct?
Yeah.
On same lines, if you say dot Vinod something, this would have affect all the uh,
Classes
classes
name.
Vinod, right? On the same
Yes.
lines, if you have, I think it is hash. If I say my ID or something, or ID1, it would affect all elements with this ID. And in HTML, there can be only one element with the particular ID. So this is way how you do for IDs. So that was your point number 8. Create some ID and add some styling for add some styles for ID and create classes. Create classes is let me keep this point number 4. Okay, so you're getting the idea what is the assignment, right?
Yeah, Vinod.
Anyone having questions on the assignment? Anyone? No questions? Okay. All right. So I've saved the assignment, so it should be available for everyone. Okay. Now, before we okay, let me stop the recording now.